Today, I want to talk to you about why productivity is a scam, why we're all falling for it, and how doing dramatically less and actually embracing constraints is the number one productivity hack that we could all be engaging in. So, when you look at the data, over 92% of Americans year over year fail to make progress and achieve meaningful goals in their lives, which means the stuff that you're working on this year is probably a replica of the same stuff you didn't accomplish last year. And I don't know what your goals are. You might want to lose weight. You might want to get into a relationship or build a better relationship. You might want to make more money, or you might want to scale your business or even just start a business. Whatever your goals are, there's places that I see consistently people getting stuck that I want to help get you out of and actually take the things that are meaningful for you, build a strategic plan and make them a reality. And so I'm going to give you maybe 3 things that are really, really helpful that has worked for myself, the things that I do, and have worked for my 500 plus clients. More than just strategies, I'm going to teach you how to think so you can apply these principles to every area of your life. But before we get started, I want to show you where I see most people. So most people are here. They have something meaningful that they want to move towards, but they're feeling really overwhelmed because they have tons of different priorities, right? They need to take out the trash. They got to get ready for dinner with their family. They got to be a good husband. They got to mow the lawn, get ready for tax season, save for retirement. All these things that all feel important. So you're overwhelmed with all these tasks. And all that overwhelm, since everything is important, means nothing is important. So then you lack priorities. So with all these lack in priorities and no clear hierarchical structure of A, B, and C of how to delegate and move through things, you end up feeling so overwhelmed and lacking priorities that you end up just distracting yourself and procrastinating. And then the cycle repeats and it goes on and on and on and on. And you end up being a hamster on the wheel and never getting anywhere. So I want to break you guys out of this cycle. And what I want to do is show you a different framework that's counterintuitive to what you've known before. And the very first thing I want to share with you, the very first thing that needs to go is killing the productivity mindset. That might sound counterintuitive to what you've heard before, but productivity is a scam. There is no such thing as work-life balance or inbox zero. You ever notice that people selling you on those ideas are the same people who are trying to sell you a productivity course or a new tool that's going to make you more productive? It's false in the sense that it's falsely making us believe that there's some point over there where we don't have problems and piling to-do lists and priorities that need to get done. The reality is that you are a finite being who has the capacity to imagine an infinite amount of possibilities. And we end up thinking that some tool or something outside of us is going to help us fix what's broken inside, which is, I should be able to do it all. Why am I not getting it all done? And the reality is that could not be further from the truth. Nobody is going to get it all done. You are never going to get there. And I don't mean to make that sound in a pessimistic way. It should be liberating, because once we stop believing this falsehood that we can get it all done, it liberates us from the shame and guilt that we should be these productivity machines, and we can embrace the constraints of our reality, which is we have finite time, resources, energy, and those need to be applied towards meaningful things, not trying to get it all done. And so when you break out of this idea of the productivity, work-life balance, inbox zero mindset, and actually embrace the reality of your finitude, it should be liberating, because now you can actually pick the things that are meaningful and forget about the rest, okay? So kill the productivity myth. It's a farce. We've all bought into it because we want to believe that we can get it all done. But the truth of life is that it's not difficult to say no to things you don't want to do. It's difficult to say no to the things that actually you do want to do, because you can't do it all. And so part of embracing this reality is that you can't get it all done. That's liberating. Let's now embrace the reality of our situation so we can see things more clearly. Okay. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is going to be embracing constraints, okay? Most people think endless amount of freedom is amazing, right? We would all agree that we want to have more freedoms in life, but too much freedom actually leads to paralysis. It's like when you go to the grocery store and there's a million different types of ketchups or salad dressings and you can't pick which one because there's just so many options, versus when you go to Trader Joe's and they only have 3 and they're all weird niche things and you end up picking one because you only have 3 options, right? Constraints actually make decision-making and project planning and moving through life that much easier. And so instead of leaning away from constraints, instead of shying away from putting those constraints on us, we want to embrace as many constraints as possible. And one of the constraints that I love leaning into is time. I only have so much time, right? I block out deep work blocks because I'm saying that is the amount of time that I have. I block out time with my family and saying that is the amount of time that I have. And by putting those constraints on our schedule, on our energy, on our mental resources, it actually makes us choose what is most important to be working on and helps us prioritize and build a hierarchy of how we want to spend that time. So kill the productivity mindset and embrace constraints because its constraints are your friend. The third thing I want to talk to you about is 10xing. How do I want to say this? 10xing your goals, okay? And let me tell you why. That might seem counterintuitive to everything that we just talked about, but let me tell you why 10xing things is so much more important, okay? So I want you to imagine this little bar graph, okay? So this is a bar graph here, okay? La, 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 la. I'm drawing charts. Okay, gotcha. Okay, bingo. Now, by just looking at this from a zoomed out version, it looks like most of these graphs are about the same in height, right? Obviously, there's some clear differences, but when we zoom in, when we magnify this, when we blow this thing up, you can very easily see how different these heights are. And so the metaphor I want to show you is that by actually blowing things up and making them really big, we can focus on a key point of separating the signal from the noise. And in the metaphor of our lives, by growing the vision that we have, by 10xing the things that we want to accomplish, the signal actually presents itself and makes it more apparent of what we should and shouldn't be focusing on. By blowing it up, we know that what's going to actually build this leverage isn't here, it isn't here, it isn't here, it isn't here. It actually exists in this little point that once we magnify and make our goals really big, almost illuminates itself. And so in this mindset of embracing constraints and doing radically less, in order to simplify our lives, we need to focus on the 1 to 2 things that actually build the most leverage for us and go all in on that. And when everything looks like a priority, when we haven't separated that signal from the noise, it looks like everything is important. But by magnifying our goals, we can actually separate the signal from the noise and figure out what's most important. Now, to give you an example, let's say you have a goal of building a better relationship. Now, there might be a million ways to better your relationship, right? You go on date nights, you get a relationship course, you hang out with friends, you talk more. But unless you say, I want to 10x my relationship, I want to have the 1% of relationships and really focus in on that, you won't know the 1 or 2 things that is actually going to get you there, right? Another example I always give is it's very different to say, I want to be a millionaire versus I want to be a billionaire. The strategy is just so much different. And so there's a million ways to become a millionaire. There's only 2, 3, 4 ways to become a billionaire. And once you change your perspective on what you're actually focusing on, the pathway might not be as clear. And so what I want you guys to do is I want you to take some time to think about this. What is one goal that you have in your life? Maybe it's making more money. Okay, great. Now, I want you to pick a dollar amount. Let's say that dollar amount for you is $10,000 a month. Okay, beautiful. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to 10x that. So I want you to say, I need to make $100,000 a month. Now, with that new constraint, with that new frame, with that bigger goal, there's only a couple ways that you can make $100,000 a month. Like I can't go door to door and knock on people's doors, or I can't coach people one-to-one and make $100,000 a month unless I'm charging crazy prices, right? I need to now scale. I now need to bring 1,000 people into my coaching container. And that means I need to reach more people, which means it's very clear about what things I need to say yes to and what is not part of that plan. And this is very similar to Dr. Benjamin Hardy's 10x is easier than 2x. It's very simple or very comparative to the Pareto principle, which says 20% of your inputs will lead to 80% of your outputs. You need to get clear on the 1 to 2 constraints and the 1 to 2 things that are actually going to move the needle towards your life and then go all in on those. So this is a little teaser into why doing dramatically less and embracing constraints is going to be the thing that actually makes you more productive. It's not going to be trying to do it all. It's going to be from embracing the time that you actually have, your finitude as a human being, magnifying your big vision so that you can separate the signal from the noise, and identifying the 1 to 2 key things that if you did would lead to 80, 90, 95% of your results. Okay? Do these journaling exercises. Think about the things that I posed to you. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I'll see you on the next video.